This is D'Lo Brown. You better recognize this. The only podcast I pay attention to is the Ministry of Wrestling. Believe that.
Hey yo, hey yo, hey yo. Another wrestling PLE has just gone by. So you know what that means? We're here. It's me, the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
Double V, the Viceroy, verisimilitude. Me too, Nico Laro. You get me 2 weeks in a row now.
Right, okay, guys. So this is the way we're going to play this game. Yes, we normally do what's next, and we normally do the ranking and the reviews. And yes, we've got Turning Point, and we've got not Money in the Bank, Crown Jewel, and probably a few other shows that's missing. But bear with us. You're still getting news, so let's stick with it. But there's a topic that's been going on in our head, and it's one that I'm sure many people have been questioning. And if you read the title, you know where we're going. Are they still the ones, or is it deuces? Is the bloodline still relevant? Like, we talk about Roman being the top draw and he's doing the whole Brock Lesnar thing, going away and coming back. But is it getting stale? Now, I'm in a way, look, I've waved the flag that he didn't necessarily need to drop at Mania. Nico, on the other hand, is very different to that. And as it's gone on, I feel like Money in the Bank was one thing, SummerSlam was another, but SummerSlam took a turn that no one was ready for. The splitting of the Usos, and it became very stupid very quickly. And with that, it left everyone in a bit of an awkward part because Jimmy gives a speech of, I'm doing this because I don't want to see what it does, how it consumes you. And we can't follow this evil tyrant of a cousin. I've got your back, Solo. I will protect you against him. You then get rid of Jay. Jay has now walked away, and Jimmy's now back in the bloodline. And don't get me wrong, from what I can see, Jimmy gives a lot of comedic moments. We've found out how much of a comedian Jimmy Uso can be, but that's not what the bloodline is about. Yes, you can have comedic moments, and Sami Zayn delivered that. We need the power. And that's where it's a bit weak now. We've got essentially Nico calling Solo the B. We've got Jimmy, who's literally owning the role of the B. And this isn't helping in what they're trying to build. Because essentially what they are trying to build and why Jay's on Raw is Uso versus Uso. Give them their match at Mania, which I believe should have happened last Mania.
Yeah,
it should have been a deuce where they convinced everyone that he had gone with Sami. Screw them. Like, there was a way of doing it, and then you've got Sami and KO versus the Usos at WrestleMania Backlash. Obviously, you don't get your WrestleMania moment with that, but that's how it would have expanded. Keep the bloodline strong, make it look the part, then they disintegrate. Yeah. We are where we're at. How do you feel? So I'm going to let you take the rule, Nick, because it was essentially your question based off the fact that you think it's disintegrating, but Roman still looks strong at Crown Jewel. So take the lead.
So this is the interesting thing. Crown Jewel kind of threw a monkey wrench into my mindset, because obviously you can't evaluate Roman on not being present, right? And him not being present is not his fault. That speaks to a larger problem within WWE of literally wanting big numbers because they're big. Oh, Hogan's record is in sight. We don't really have anyone left for Roman to feud with, which is the mindset. And it inherently annoys me because they really do. You could go with Bobby Lashley. You could go with AJ Styles. You could have done that long tease Shinsuke Nakamura thing, which is going back over a year now. You could do another run with Sheamus. Like, there's so many people he can go with. You could bring people up from NXT. You have him go with Braun Breaker for one PLE for some shibs and giggles, you know. There's a plethora. Carmelo Hayes, why not? There's, if we're all about Roman buries everyone, then bury everyone.
Yeah, look,
when I left, because a lot of you know, I was at WrestleMania 39 in Los Angeles with Denver Tech. My feelings about how that match ended, Den will back me up on this. The one thing I left saying, despite the fact that I wasn't happy, is like, fine. If you're going to do this, double down on him. Make Roman the actual GOAT. Make him beat Hogan. Make him beat Bruno Sammartino's first run. Do it. Do 6,000 days. Why the hell not? But then make him more regular than he's been. If you're going to do a 6,000-day run, I've got no issue with it. It would actually be, if anything, something really shocking to see in the modern age. There's a part of me, this kind of, if we're going down this whole book it because big numbers are big, don't let him lose at Mania in Philadelphia. Oh, but it's a 40. It's one of the big Manias. They're all big. It's WrestleMania. He doesn't need to lose at Mania. I'm going to put that energy out there right now. If you really want Roman to be, to have this Vince McMahon's wettest dream legacy, do it. I'm here for it. I won't have a problem when AJ and me, in 10 years' time, 20 years' time, looking back and going, how about that 6,000-day Roman Reigns run? But I want to look back on that if they're going to do it and say, how about that 6,000-day Roman Reigns run, and actually remember some moments. Yeah. And at this point, there are moments I remember, but they're getting paper thin. And I think that's down to the fact that WWE are in this mindset of, oh, we need to protect him until Mania, so there's no one to feud with, so he can't have matches. BS. There's plenty of people he can have matches. That's one problem. The other problem, aside from his absence, which again is on WWE, not on Roman, is that it's all getting into the realm of predictability now. I think what you pitched in our WhatsApp group the other night of, if you're going to have him lose not at Mania.
Yeah.
Because this title run, because it's WWE's booking system, I can't tell who's going to beat him, but I'm quietly confident I can tell when they're going to beat him. It may not be Cody who dethrones him at Mania 40. It could be Gunther. Who knows? It's most likely Cody. Could be Solo. Who knows? They may strap a rocket to Solo. Cody's the only one that makes sense based on the storylines that we've got at our disposal right now as of the 8th of November. But look, Big E could come back at the Royal Rumble. And he goes and gets Roman. What a story that would be. Right there, you've got Kofi Mania Part 2. 3-month run, and my God, he's come back and he's dethroned Roman. Drew could do it. I don't know. Redemption for Clash at the Castle. There are many arcs that you can go with. Just none of them feel very satisfying. None of them feel very worthy of dethroning even Cody. And that's because they didn't do it last year. Cody now dethroning Roman doesn't feel special. It feels like, genuinely, if Cody beat Roman at Mania 40, even with all of you being hyped, I'd be like, yeah. It wouldn't hype me because you know when it's coming, you most likely know who it's coming with, and when you've put predictability into a title reign this long, it makes the payoff feel not special. You knew that Thanos was going to lose in Avengers Endgame, but my God, the journey they took us on to that loss was amazing. I need a assemble. I need a moment like that to know that now you are flubbed. This guy is about to kill you, and it's been 3, 4, 5, 6 years coming. You need that moment of the Avengers charging the battlefield. You need a moment where Thanos realizes, I'm in trouble. Roman is Thanos. Roman is the acknowledged click finger Thanos. He needs to have a moment, like when he fought Captain Marvel, where he headbutts someone and it does nothing, and he's like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But what they're doing is they're making with the exception of Crown Jewel, which I'll circle back to, but they're kind of doing this melodramatic nearly booking, so that every time he headbutts someone and that there's no reaction, he does this uh-oh. That uh-oh has been diluted because they're doing it in every match. And so now we come to Crown Jewel, and I don't know what to make of Crown Jewel, because I was saying for the longest time that all I just said, that it's got stale, it's not good that he's on TV, it's absent, it's going to be Mania 40 because it's WWE. Surprise me. Please surprise me. Make him lose at a pay-per-view that's not Mania. Make him lose at a pay-per-view that's not Mania to someone who's not Cody, who will actually feel powerful. Problem is, you haven't built anyone up that will make me go, wow, no, you're going to do it. But he kind of twatted LA Knight. Like what I said. Like what I said in the WhatsApp group, like, yeah, the ovation LA Knight got was amazing. Did he look like a superstar? Absolutely. Do I like LA Knight? Yes, I do. You could have had Roman beat him clean without any interference from the bloodline, and I would have bought it. Like, that was a one-way match, man.
Roman
That
was
was
definitely
Roman
he was the
looking
aggressor.
dominant again. Yeah,
He was the
that
aggressor. He was definitely the
Roman
aggressor.
looked dominant again. LA Knight had nothing to offer. Not because LA Knight has nothing to offer. It was just the booking and the kayfabe they were telling, right? But that was a twatting. As far as I'm concerned, Roman twatted LA Knight, and I reckon LA Knight's now going to become, like a Cesaro from earlier in Roman's reign, where it was like a one and done title thing. You don't get another one. There's no part 2 and part 3 for you. He's going to become the next Mr. Kennedy, as I've been saying for ages. I know Big Tone's calling Ryback. I don't see that. I see Mr. Kennedy.
I see more Kennedy. I do see more Kennedy. I have to say that.
Crown Jewel has put a monkey wrench in the operation because of how dominant Roman looked in that match. Because you got to remember, a lot of people say Roman's a dominant champion. You're being worked if you believe that. Roman is not a dominant champion. He's an insecure sociopath who constantly needs help to get him out of difficult situations, which he gets himself in and can't get out of cleanly. He's not a dominant champ. A dominant champ is, as you were pitching in the WhatsApp group the other day, as someone who stands over you and is like, what? Roman was dominant when he was stacking Edge and, at the time, Daniel Bryan.
Pre-bloodline.
Pre-bloodline Roman was a dominant Roman, and you thought, whoa, the guy who, God rest his soul, speared Bray Wyatt out of his boots. That, at the time, Bray Wyatt was a big deal. So Roman doing that was like, oh. The first time that Paul Heyman sat with Roman and went, believe that. That was a dominant Roman. Bloodline Roman, the point of him is to work you into thinking he's dominant because big numbers are big in this long title reign. He's not dominant. That's kind of the point of the character. So we need to get to a point now where he feels dominant again, and where you've got someone like a Scarlet Witch, or like a Miss Marvel, or like having an Assemble moment. That's not anywhere in sight. No one is on the level where if they beat Roman, I'd be like, oh, that was satisfying. Which is why I think they're going to revert to type, give it to Cody, because that's what, again, should have happened last year. Because what I'm describing now, the whole Assemble moment, Cody had that last year. At the height of Finish the Story, at the height of, irrespective of how he won the Rumble, which wasn't great, we all agree. But that first time on Raw, where his music hit and Roman actually had a look of, Roman had a look of fear. He played it very well, and then reverted back to type and went smug and was like, and said to Cody, "What do you want to talk about?" They cut a few weeks of really good promos on each other, and Cody was never as white hot as he was back then. To the degree where back then, that's why I'm so butthurt about last year. He fits into the mold of, if you like what I'm describing, that was last year. Avengers Assemble was Cody last year. He was Captain America last year. Now he's Shang-Chi.
So my thing where I'll agree with you that it needed to happen then is because the bloodline has descended. And irrelevant of Sami Zayn wasn't what kept the bloodline together. He was comedic humor. Getting rid of Sami actually made them more dangerous. And that's what it should have been. Is that they should have been, the games are over. You can lose at Mania, even Backlash. Go back and grab that title, because now the tribal chief is PO'd, because essentially the problem that you have is anyone who beats Roman now is beating a man who doesn't have all the odds stacked against them like they did. And the essence of not having Cody win then was for him to pick off the bloodline one after the other, not to become tag team champs with one of them. That's not what you're looking at. That is the element where it doesn't work out. While kicking onto Roman, then we'll get into bloodline a bit longer and further. I have a feeling he may not lose at Mania. And I'll tell you why.
I hope so.
Because the way the game is being played and the way he's trying to be sold now, for him to be seen as a great, because he's done all the names, but there is one name. San Martino's one thing that it's I don't want to say irrelevant, but you have to be of a certain era to appreciate San Martino. Hogan. Now, the thing is, I've looked at the numbers, and Hogan has had more title defenses in his run than Roman did.
Way more.
But for Roman,
substantially more.
Literally, like you could times Romans by 100 twice. Like I think it's 400 versus 36. It's ridiculous. Yeah. But Hogan is at 1,400 and something. Roman's at 100 and something. 1,100 and something. That's another 300 days. There's 365 days in a year.
He'll do it.
How does he? In order for him to do it, has to be another Mania. Mm-hmm. But it's WWE really playing the game.
Do what you said. Don't go down the Mania route. Don't have him lose at Mania.
This is the thing, because everyone's banking on that it's too predictable now. It's way too predictable. And I think that's the damaging part. It's either you keep the bloodline as it was, because Cody won't look like the same guy. Because if he done it where he took out Jimmy, he took out Jay, and he took out Solo, that's the guy who deserved it. Anyone who beats Roman now hasn't beaten the Mad King who built his family around him and has picked off absolutely everybody. Don't get me wrong, Roman can do it on his own, because when he smashed and stacked, that was on his own. He is capable of doing it. He's just done it at Crown Jewel. But now you're at this position of, we need to see a more dominant Roman for it to become that. Because he essentially, Crown Jewel just said, I'm going to remind you just who the F I am. And he did that. Granted, they kept the heel heat by having Jimmy put a leg on the rope and Solo trying to walk out just to do normal bloodline antics. He didn't need them. But that's that. That's the Roman element, and that's discussed. We're talking the bloodline. Jimmy, respectfully, we can only call the comedic humor. Previously, leading into Crown Jewel, you called Solo the B.
A female mutt.
The female mutt. Yeah, we're playing it cautious here to avoid being flagged here, peeps. Following what he done to who WWE are dubbing the GOAT, do you still maintain that Solo is that? Because they gave him one of the most dominant showings you can have over such a legend that is John Cena. Like, again, I'm not here to boast that I got the clean sweep, but I looked at it and I was like,
listen.
So Solo's been played in such a way, and I said it in the prediction, and I'll say it now. He's been played in a way that I don't even know how many matches he's had, but it's a case of him being the enforcer.
He's lost more than he's won. Sorry. He's won more than he's lost. Get it there eventually, but not by as much as you think. That's the thing, the Kool-Aid that I'm saying people are buying into.
But here's the thing. As an enforcer, he's always been there to, like, he's present on TV to help the others win or get away with something or lead to the biggest beatdowns. So he did become irrelevant. And even that's what I felt. One, it was his first, since Clash, which is last September, to now, this is his first individual pay-per-view match. You put him against, it's his first. All the others have been tagged. This is his first one, and you put him against Cena
on a PLE, not on a as a gen.
Yeah. Raw, SmackDown, whatever he's done in between. I couldn't really care. But with that, you're now trying to do it, and he was getting a bit stale. And this was a turn again. I feel like it's a turning point for the bloodline. Because now people are taking him seriously when they weren't before. He was the guy jumping through every table. Everyone thought,
well, I wasn't. But look what he did to my boy, you know?
How do you feel about him? Do you still see him as that runt of the litter, the irrelevant one of the bloodline?
It's so hard to say after that showing, isn't it? Because on the one hand, I don't want to get trapped in, the adrenaline prison, as it's called, where you're hyped about something and you let that blur your vision, They say never review a movie, for instance, after you step straight out of it, because if it's really bad, you're not going to give the other side, and vice versa. It's the same with a wrestling match at the end of the day. Was that the performance? You said it perfectly. He needed that win. Was that the performance that was needed? Yes. Was that the win that was needed against the person that it was needed against? Yeah. Hell yeah. Ask me at the Royal Rumble if I still think he's a mutt, because I don't know how they're going to book him. If they're gonna, I keep on saying revert to type, but if they're gonna revert to type now, and he's like, cool, he's had his win, now sit down. I'll be like, you know who else sits like a good boy? Let's see how they play him out. If he's now gonna go keep protecting Roman, but actually start to look dominant, because Solo's like Roman, he's one of these guys which people, oh, he's really dominant. I'm like, he's not. He's not. He's only won 51% of his matches. That is not a dominant number. That means he's lost nearly 50% of his matches. That's not dominant. Dominant is what Will Ospreay just did in the last 6 months. Tanahashi, Takagi, Omega, Jericho, Edwards, destroyed. Yeah. That's dominant. You go after every single big person out there in non-title matches and wreck shop against guys who on any other time would be like, Ospreay's great, but probably Omega. Ospreay's great, but probably Jericho. Ospreay's great, probably Tanahashi. Oh, and his big rival, Okada. You beat him too.
Yeah.
That's dominant. The run Will Ospreay at the moment is on now is dominant, and it's why he's the hottest property in wrestling. That's dominance. And he doesn't need to be someone who goes, it's like, did you see that? That was the dumbest shib I have ever seen.
So here's the funny thing. I was actually
spoke to his thumb. The camera went on him. He spoke to his thumb like that. It's like, boy.
I was actually on my way to a show while it was there, and I'm like checking in on the network every 2 minutes because I want to see, because I knew that was my make or break point. You know, it was literally like fortune favored the bowl on that one, and I was like, I saw him dominant, and I saw him staring at the thumb.
Sense the way you broke it down.
And the more I saw him staring at his thumb, the more I was like, I understand that it's a powerful tool, but let's relax. It's not a shotgun. You know, we all have thumbs. Like, let's relax. I understand that it does something. You've mastered what to do with your thumb, but let's relax. To me, again, it's how you book him now, and I feel that Solo. Do you know the biggest problem with the bloodline right now, respectfully, is Jimmy? Because had it just been Roman and Solo, and it's Solo going out there, literally wrecking shop, eliminate the comedy, because this is what we're doing now. Roman could come back, and because Bubba Ray's just said it recently, I read it just before we came into recording actually, and he was saying like Roman's a big deal, and this is the problem: is that Roman's annoying in the Brock Lesnar element of they're gone, they don't fight, they're not a dominant champ, the numbers are just racking up, but what does it matter? I still get gassed when I hear his music. You can't help but feel it because Roman is a freaking presence. He just has it with him. You know, you may hate the bloodline, you still kind of feel your finger going up. You're like, no, I hate them right now. Like, it kind of has this moment.
It's not so much about hating the bloodline. I mean, are we talking hate in a kayfabe sense or in a booking sense?
No.
Because in a kayfabe sense, right. In a kayfabe sense, you're kind of meant to hate them, aren't you? They're the heels, right? Exactly. In a booking sense, they've been booked into an unenviable corner. You know, it just shows the power of what Roman is and of what you're saying and Bully Ray saying to be true, despite having not fighting odds or kayfabe odds, booking odds. The booker's literally not doing right by him. Despite having booking odds literally stacked against him, as you said, you still feel like, I'll put my finger up for Roman because I think he's a G. I think he's not my problem. The people booking him are my problem. Because it shows despite 3.5 years of dominance, it still shows a complete lack of faith in their top guy. They think that the best way to make him look good is to have big numbers because big numbers are big. And it's once again them failing to realize that, like, no dum-dum. You make someone look big and give their big numbers importance by actually having them tear up shop.
Now, guys, this is what I'm going to call it. Put your comments below. What are your thoughts on the bloodline? Because with that thing that Nico's saying, we're going to move on to another subject. We're going to do a double deuce here. are numbers hindering WWE? Because
Huh.
we've got Roman, who's 1,000 and what have you there, and we don't know who's going to end it. Is it going to end at Mania? Does it prolong because he has to outdo Hogan? Then we've got Gunther, who's outdone the Honky Tonk Man. So are WWE trying to double down on that? Then we have Seth Rollins, who
shouldn't have held the belt this long. This is bad.
This is it. He's now on a tearing streak. And the other thing that's hit me, do you know what Seth's doing?
Rhea. Don't forget Rhea.
But Seth is actually eliminating all of NXT. All of your former NXT champs are stepping up and are getting crushed by him. When are we allowing this to build? Rhea is on a tier. Dare I say it? Io's on a tier that people aren't even interested in. You know? It's getting lengthy now, and everyone's feeling like, I love Io, but she's not giving us enough. When's it going to end? I think there's a new faction coming.
Io's not my problem. Yeah, funnily enough, the women holding the belts, Io's going to lose that belt at, I actually think before Mania. Rhea, this is just a belief. It's not based on anything. Rhea, I actually think is going to hold it at Mania. I think she's going to go past Mania. She's worked hard enough that I would be okay with that. Gunther, I reckon, is going to lose upwards. Drop it in a triple threat or something. Gunther, I actually think, has done some very good work with that IC belt. Not just because big numbers are big. He's really been a revelation with Chad Gable. I've been saying since Chad Gable, Shelton Benjamin, and the Usos were feuding when they were playing hot potato with the tag belts. Then Chad still had his long hair. I was like, Chad's an amazing wrestler, man. If he was a little bit taller and a little bit stockier, you'd have the new Kurt Angle there, because ability-wise, he's not far off. He's an amazing wrestler. And I reckon they're going to put the IC belt on him, and I'll be very happy when they do, and I think he's damn well earned it. But now Riddle and Gunther, I don't think he'll eat the pin. He could. That would be interesting. It would make Gable look like a big deal. But I think Gunther's going to lose upwards, and he'll be the one that takes the belt off of Seth. But this is so formulaic, isn't it? How interesting would it be? Let me lay out a booking for you here. Let me lay this out for you. Gunther loses upwards in a triple threat. Chad Gable has the IC belt. Yay, we're all happy. Chad's won. Put that aside now. Gunther. I love this, actually. Cody Rhodes comes out at number 1 at the Royal Rumble. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone thinks he's going to do coast to coast. And it's Gunther who screws him from doing it, so Cody doesn't win the Rumble. Yeah?
Has a very Rocky IV feel to it, doesn't it? As much as he's not the Russian, but yeah.
Absolutely love that. And then it's Gunther who will go and mess with Roman. Now, I'll tell you what, after the IC run that Gunther's just been on, you could have a potential assemble moment there with him. Because him stepping up to Roman might be one of the few guys, maybe the only guy who would step up to him, and the whole world would go, maybe.
Do you know what?
Maybe legitimately, as opposed to yes, maybe, because WWE booking, therefore Cody Rhodes. I'm a Cody guy, and I'm bored of this because you've telegraphed it for the last year.
It's heel transitioning to heel. That's what scares me with that one. I don't see it happening. That's the only thing that kills it.
Of course,
you can't book Gunther as a face. He'll get cheered, but you can't book him as a face. And the thing is, him having
this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. Both, Gunther will beat Seth for the belt, and Cody will beat Roman for the belt. 8th of November. Make a note in your notes now, and you can come back here at Mania when that happens.
Actually, I'm going to text that to myself now because, we're just going to be. It's not going to happen anyway. I won't remember it because you have called stuff and it's not happened.
I've called stuff and it's not happened. Yes, many. What's the point?
It's not been telegraphed. It's not been put there. right? That's a small note
Gunther
there.
will beat Seth. Cody will beat Roman for their title.
But here's the problem: when we're playing this numbers game, numbers are good, but does it kill the stars? Because look at the potential stars, and here's the thing, and I'm going to give it to Raw more than SmackDown on this. We have had some awesome bookings. The second coming of Shinsuke Nakamura, the second
Which
coming,
again revealed the same ending.
the second coming of Finn Balor, the third coming, and the redemption arc of Drew. I don't think Drew's winning it at Survivor Series. I really don't. You know,
I don't know.
And this is the problem. Like, I just feel like everyone's getting these two title shots against Seth, and what does it lead to? Nothing but disappointment, and people then left in open air. As I say, Finn is lucky that he has the Judgment Day. Nakamura, and I say this with the highest level of respect, has gone from feuding with Seth freaking Rollins to Akira Tozawa. Like,
that belt is being booked the wrong way. Rollins, because of his ability, is pretty much bulletproof in WWE. I'd say he's probably in terms of natural ability.
Cody.
And look at him now, and he's the one with the gold. See what I mean? It's like Rollins is probably the best wrestler that they've got. I'd listen to an argument for maybe Chad Gable, but or maybe Johnny Gargano.
An all-rounder, in terms of
all-rounder, it's very hard to look past Seth. You know, if I wanted to put Seth in the other companies, could I, if I picked top 5 wrestlers in the world, he'd probably be the only guy I picked from WWE, and I'd put him up there, with Okada, Danielson, Omega, Ospreay. Yeah, I could see Rollins fitting into that little quartet. He fits in there nicely. Other people in WWE.
He is the PW Insider's number one. Let's give it, credit where it's due. He is where he is.
I don't put much credence in that, but that's.
But I'm just saying, it's universally recognized the talent that he is. Whether you agree with him or not,
he's an amazing talent.
Both sides of the line agree on that.
Would I like to see Rollins Okada? Yes. Rollins Tanahashi? Yes. Rollins Ospreay? Yes. Rollins Omega? Yes. Rollins Danielson? Yes. These are all dream matches, right? Rollins should have held that belt for 3 months, and it should have been sent. They should have hot potatoed the living hell out of that belt, not make it another lengthy title reign. So to answer your question, are they ruining it for themselves? Yes, because what they gave themselves, not that this belt should have ever come into existence, but what they gave them, we all don't criticize them enough for that crap. But what they
short memories.
What they missed the ship on with this is that while you've got, one belt being literally laid to siege, you could have created some short form, much like, Benoit's title reign. I know he shouldn't mention his name, but Benoit winning that belt was a feel-good moment, right? 3-month title reign, if I believe it was like, what, WrestleMania to SummerSlam?
No, it was SummerSlam through to something very short, free pay-per-view. I don't think he had it at Survivor Series. So
he didn't have it for long, did he? He lost it to Randy, and he didn't have it for long at all. But he won it.
Yes, you're right. Yeah, sorry, WrestleMania to SummerSlam. He lost it at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Sorry, what am I thinking?
Yeah.
I'm thinking Randy. Yeah.
So he lost it to Randy at SummerSlam, but you created. This is again just a personal opinion, but you created in that moment that iconic cap shot of him and Eddie both wearing gold. Didn't need to have a long title reign, and the lack of length in the title reign didn't discredit that moment anymore. You could have used that belt to create something you haven't created for a very long time, which is real fan-pleasing moments. That doesn't mean they haven't done good stories. They have. The Bloodline was good before it went to shit after Mania 39, but they haven't given us some real I needed that so badly. The world needed Finn Balor to hold gold again. The world needed Nakamura to hold gold. Finally.
Yeah.
And it's just not happening. Does the world need a heel Jew to hold gold? Much less so than Balor and Nakamura.
Do you know
they're doing the wrong thing with this belt?
Do you know what I would have done? The one thing I would have had Seth do is beat Cody. Because it gives a different angle to the story. One, it tells people in their mindset, no, WWE are really burying him. He shouldn't have come there. And it also redeems Seth from the free loss. But do you understand, when Cody has
He's
lost
bulletproof.
on both angles, when he's lost both titles and it looks like he's down, and then he's now on a come up and he's like, I'm here to claim. And then he's going after it because it's like, why has he been so close to that title and not touched it? That's the only defense I would have had. I would have then had Finn win the belt in another Art of Redemption, and Nakamura versus Finn Balor.
Amazing.
The history is just all over the place.
It writes itself. It writes itself.
Or even do it the other way.
And remember, I said recently, F the casual fans, because it's because of this, mentality of, oh, the poor little plebiscital pond scummy casual fans that possibly couldn't think for themselves. Oh, we have to stroke them and make sure they're okay, like Blofeld stroking his cat, because they're awfully fragile, these little fans, aren't they? No, they're not. This is what annoys me, is that they're sending us these mixed messages of, they're giving us teasers for bloody
Punk
13-year-old CM Punk Ring of Honor promos of all things, but then don't trust us to know the Bullet Club history with Nakamura, Balor, and all of that from New Japan. It's like, sorry, New Japan's bigger than Ring of Honor. Like,
yeah.
I won't hear otherwise on that. Even now, I won't hear otherwise. And it's like, you've got stories that write themselves. Just
so
give them.
And do you know how you build the star?
That's why I'm sorry to say, and I hate to make it a tribalistic thing, but this is why I like AEW, because you see these dream matches. They missed the ship with Punk because we didn't get the dream matches that we wanted involving him.
But I mean, that's an ego thing as opposed to a company thing,
They held out. They held out for too long. That's Tony Khan's biggest curse, but also his biggest blessing. When things fall into place after a lengthy, like Hangman Page and Kenny Omega, long 1.5 drawn out program, but it worked. I think
Adam and Christian came too quick, personally.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know what's going on with that now. Like,
AEW's in a very awkward place where I find this is just seeing it as a very casual, and it's the socials playing me more than anything. I see that they're becoming more sports entertainment than they were before. They're leaning into a different territory from what
little bit, and I'm not crazy about it.
It works. You understand what the company's about. But, going into the reigns, I think, again, Seth's one is the biggest hindrance, because where Gunther has passed that, and now it feels like who's going to beat him. It's not even because everyone's just waiting for Gunther to be beaten. Seth, it just feels like, guys,
Chad Gable calling it.
There's a part of me that still wants Sheamus before Sheamus hangs up the boots, man. But it's two different shows. It's
actually, but again, that's a moment that we like. I'd like that.
Yeah. But Seth should have dropped, and then the way that you can build stories, and you've now got multiple stars, and any of them can transition over to the other to the other show, to SmackDown. Think of it, as we said, Seth beats Cody, this, that, and the other. Nakamura or Finn does what they do. Then Cody wins. But Nakamura wins the title, then Cody wins. Then Finn Balor steps back up, and now you've got Bullet Club versus Bullet Club, and everyone's like, oh, this is interesting. There were so many elements, and now each man's got it. When you get an elimination chamber in February, it's not just a case of there's a guaranteed winner, because every man has been a certified champ from the day that title came out to the day it's there. Now we're all playing this longevity game. And it's not that I'm against Seth, not that you're against Seth. We're categorically saying it. The guy's number one in terms of all-round athlete. But mix it up, because that's what that belt was there for. We've got a fighting IC champ. We've got the non-present Ultimate champ. So yes, Seth is more of a fighting champ. He just done Crown Jewel, then he took on Sami Zayn at Raw. I get it. But he's just destroying every man who's stepping up. Where are we building the future stars? And this is the biggest problem. When Brock left, they didn't know what they were doing, and we were very lucky to have a gentleman by the name of John Cena step up and become that star. But then who was there to challenge him short of Randy Orton? It was Batista kind of came there, but let's be honest, in the pantheon of wrestling,
CM Punk.
Well, that was awesome. The Summer of Punk was amazing. They cut that too short when they let The Rock win. But where are we now? Because in that same vein of loving these stars, and I do have nothing but respect for these stars when I say it, a main event Johnny Gargano had to go back into tag team realms because he wasn't doing it that well in singles. So let's start building these stars. And that's nothing against Gargano, that's nothing against Ciampa. But build these stars so you can look at a title picture. And when a guy steps out through the curtain to challenge Roman or Seth, you're like, wow, okay, now we've got something. Because right now it's literally hoping Cody just gets transferred to SmackDown or wins the Rumble to go to SmackDown and take that belt. That's not booking.
But, and you've got two other, and bringing it back to the top, and I guess we can finish on this, and I agree with you, it's not booking, but this idea they've got that they have to keep Roman off TV because there's no one left for him to fight. I've laid out people who he can fight: Sheamus, AJ Styles, Bobby Lashley, who I don't know what the hell he's doing. Sheamus, AJ Styles, and Bobby Lashley. Any of those three guys could easily do 2 or 3 PLEs and have got the mic skills to go back and forth with Roman.
Yeah.
And then you can start bringing in the injured people. If Randy Orton's coming back, boy, I'd like to see Randy versus Roman. If Big E's coming back, boy, I'd like to see Big E versus Roman. And have the New Day back him up so that he doesn't get messed with by the backup boys.
The backup boys, the backup line. Yeah, but I have a feeling if Big E can make it back in the ring, I guarantee you, he's going to make a curb stomp. I guarantee you. Because Seth is destroying every former NXT champ. It's just the way they're doing it. I don't know why. But yeah, that's the one. So let's just wrap it here, guys. The last little
Sami Zayn beating Seth. That would be a feel-good moment.
Well, he lost. It was just happened on Raw. It just happened yesterday.
What was the whole point of my discussion here is that we are not getting moments that would make us happy.
Yeah. Yeah. And KO getting transferred to SmackDown doesn't mean we want to see Roman KO 4. They're awesome matches, but we don't want it.
That made no sense. That made absolutely no sense. That this is okay. KO and Sami are done. Bye.
In a way, I'm happy because it doesn't mean KO versus Sami 12,000. We've seen it. Separate them. They're still friends, but they're doing their own thing. Because I knew it. Once the tag run was done, it was going to run dry. So separate it. I get it. But guys, that's the thing. So 2 questions. Bloodline. Keep it going. How would you book the Bloodline to keep it relevant? Would you kick out anyone? Would you do it? I still believe in the long run, Solo's going to kick out Roman. And the 2 guys who've just left MLW, that's the new thing. Solo at the front, managed by Heyman, just pure savages. It's a different kind of bloodline now. Let that be. But again, how would you book the bloodline? And what do you think about the numbers game in WWE? Do we need long title reigns or is it time to start bouncing it? Because the only title that's changing hands is the US title. That's the only one that's changing. Even the tag title changes for like 2 days and goes back to the Judgment Day. How would you book these titles?
Chelsea Green and Piper Niven had a longer title reign than Rey Mysterio. Who knew?
There's a part of me who wonders, is Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair the next women's tag team champions?
Well, because they're two big buff sisters, yeah?
Yeah, that's another discussion for another time, all under the Bobby Lashley tree. But anyway,
Jade needs to dethrone Rhea at Mania. That's my call.
That's a good shout. But I don't want her to win the Rumble. She needs to do it another way. Win the Chamber.
Nope.
Do a Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler. There you go, brother. Shayna Baszler her. Have her enter the Rumble, tear up shop, but lose.
Yeah. By nefarious means. Let it be let Rhea be the one to kick her out. So she's got the target. She knows who she's after.
I know exactly who I'd have her kick out for banter and then get a whooping of whoopings. FABO.
Well, she's carrying at the moment. I don't think she'll be there.
I know she is. I'm bantering, isn't it?
Oh,
Carmella, can you imagine? And then
Jade what we get again, another one who's carrying at the moment. But if we could get an iconic elimination, would just be gold. Yeah. Anyway, fantasy booking. How to
be fair, you can't have Jade get eliminated from comedy wrestling. It can't happen. She has to be presented as the biggest deal ever.
I think Charlotte's the only one who's really viable to eliminate her. But again, different discussion. Again, how do you book the women's title? Who do you book to go into Mania with titles? Are you excited for the potential female Japanese faction that looks like it's looming. But anyway, there's a few questions there,
What,
guys.
Io and
They reckon
Io and
they reckon
Kyrie and
Asuka's joining
Asuka?
that. Yeah, and there's one other they say who's going to join. I just can't remember the name.
I'd be there for that.
It would dominate. But anyway, guys. Yes.
Dominate
look out
what?
for the
There's no
women's
women's division.
This is the problem, right? This is the problem. The women's division needs building. I was happy there was 2 women's matches at Saudi Arabia, but again, we need tag teams. Guys, look, next week's discussion, the state of women's wrestling, who has the best women's division, Impact. But anyway, until next week, I am the one AJ Anthony Jordan.
Double V, the Viceroy, very similar to Nicolero. Join us next week where we're going to talk about women's wrestling.
So until the next time, guys, we out.